Hello everybody. Today I'm going to talk about Savage Lion's Claw. I picked this up recently in the DLC I've been trying to get my characters through there, and I ended up picking up Savage Lion's Claw here, and put it on the Omen Killer's Cleaver. And that is actually a pretty decent combo. I did not think it would be that good of a combo when I did it. I needed something else on the Savage, not the Savage, but the Omen Killer's Cleaver. Before I had Storm Stomp on there, that was like an alright pick. I figured, big weapon when I try to put a cooler Astral Boar on it. And Savage Lion's Claw. This Astral Boar, I would not say is great. It's quirky, really. The Ash, it starts off with the standard Savage Claw, or the Lion's Claw. You do the flip, and then it does a little mini flip, and then like a big flip. And there's a true combo with this, where it's not the flip hit into a flip hit. It's the little flip into the bigger flip that is the true combo. If you hit them with the little mini flip, that will true combo into the bigger hit, like the flip with the hit. Even though the little mini one doesn't do any damage, it still hits them, causes them to be stunned, but it won't do any damage to them. It's not until you do the follow-up that you get the damage. And that right there is a going benefit I think this Astral War has, is that most people by now expect a Lion's Claw, right? You do the Artorias flip, and then you're standing there until you do your next move. And if you decide to do nothing. But with Savage Lion's Claw, you can follow it up into another flip, and that throws people off, especially if you're like a lower level. Like I'm at 60 on this character. And most people, they might be familiar with Lion's Claw, or they might see it for the first time and be like, oh, okay, I can figure out how to avoid that. Especially like when the Red Mage Knights do it, like they're conditioned to be like, oh, it's just one flip. But then you do it twice. Then you do like another flip, and that's when it's like, oh shit, I didn't realize there could be more to this. And with that little with the weird true combo, like that is the fact that it throws people off, and you have that's a good combination, because people didn't expect what you were about to do, and then you get a true combo out of it. Especially if you land the first claw, you can still do the true combo after. Like you can do the first flip, throw them off, and then you get the little mini true combo. I don't know why I'm calling it mini. It's not mini, but like you can throw them off into the true combo. And it doesn't just have to be a big weapon that you put this Astral Boar on. It can be a small weapon. I also have the Monk's Flame Blade with this Astral Boar on it, just because I wanted to get something different on that weapon as well, and I figured why not see the difference between if it's on a big weapon or a small weapon. And there's none. I ended up going with the Omen Killer Cleaver for the whole, like all the clips you see, just because I think that was a better option. The Omen Killer Cleaver has a natural bleed, which is another benefit, at least for me, is the fact that, I can do bleed build up. Not a lot, but I can do bleed build up, and, do a good amount of damage, and then if I'm lucky, bleed, which is just another good benefit to have here. But unfortunately, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, as it has its drawbacks, this Ash War. If you've ever tried to land a Lion's Claw, you'll know that it can be tricky. You don't really have much control of like what direction you can go once you start doing the flip. Once you start doing the flip, you're going whatever direction you were facing. You're not gonna change where you're going. Once you start flipping, you're flipping in that direction. And that's for the most part true with this. You can change the movement on the second flip, but it's still tricky to land. It's it doesn't really help that much. So yeah, sure, you can change which direction you're going, but only slightly, and it's still very easy to dodge. Which, sucks, but it is what it is. It's also just a slow Astral War, which makes it, one, kind of easy to predict what's going to happen. It has a slow enough startup to where when you see it, you're like, alright, well, I see what's going to happen here. And even if you don't, it's slow enough to where you're like, oh, I can just get out of the way. Like, it's slow enough to where, Like when you're in the air, you're like, oh, well, I'm gonna move out of the way now. But other than those two, I wouldn't necessarily say it has many drawbacks. It doesn't have a lot going for it, but it also doesn't have a lot keeping it down. You know, like it's slow and it's hard to change what direction you're going. But it's not like there's enough to where it's warranted not to use it. There's also not enough benefits where it's like, this is all you want to use. Like, it has the little true combo to it, and it does good damage. But, it doesn't really have much else going for it, where it's like, alright, this is something that everyone wants to have on their build. It's not like a spinning slash, where it's like, oh, you might want to have spinning slash on like every build, It's one of those things where it's like, if you think it looks cool and you're fine with its drawbacks, then like obviously go ahead and use it. There's nothing really holding you back. It's not bad where it's like, alright, I wouldn't recommend using that at all. Go get something else. It's in its own like little space where it's like, alright, it's fine. It's fine. It does good damage. It's goofy looking. And, it's not the worst thing out there. And that's a lot of Ashes of War, there's lots of Ashes of War where it's like, alright, it's not the best, but it's servable. And if you counter a co-invader using it, or a co-invader encounters you using it, both of you are probably not going to be like, hey man, that's not a good idea to use. You're both probably going to be like, oh, huh, cool, and move on with your day. And that's all I really had to ramble about with this Ashes of War. And you might be thinking, oh, what's he going to ramble about next, the weapon? No, the weapon's fine. It's a good weapon. Doesn't really have anything holding it back, really, I'd say. What I am going to talk about is level 60 invasions. Level 60 invasions, I feel like used to be harder, but then they have slowly gotten easier. Like, there used to be a period of time where 60 invasions were like the meta reject area for hosts, like back in Dark Souls 3, you would call hosts you would see at like level 60 or below that had try-hard builds Pontiff rejects. And I feel like in this game it's more appropriate to call them meta rejects. But there used to be a lot of them at this level, and I didn't encounter really like any. I encountered one, but I don't even know if I'd really classify him as a meta reject. I feel like I'd just classify him more as like a bit of a twink, if anything. Which is fine, I don't really care that much. But I just didn't encounter a lot of like mean builds. I encountered a lot of shit like this where it's just like two Timmys and Billies rocking their PvE builds, their Google builds, having fun going through the game. And which was interesting, because I've kind of gotten used to level 60 being the asshole range, where you gotta watch out for the dipshits who were like, oh, I'm gonna fucking rock by a halberd off-stock at level 60. Surely this would be a fun fight for everybody that invades me. And it's like, no, that's not fun for anybody. Go to meta. But I just didn't encounter a lot of those. I just encountered people like this, where they have the default shit where it's like, oh, I got 2 Cursosaurs, bleed infused, because that helps me get to the game quicker. That's all I really had to say, though. See you guys.